This video is about half steps and whole steps. A half step is the distance between any note and the note closest to it on the piano keyboard. When we talk about higher, we go to the right, and lower, we go to the left. If we're going higher, to the right, we use sharp names, since a sharp raises a note a half step. If we're going lower, to the left, we use flat names, since a flat lowers a note a half step. Let's start with the note E. A half step higher than E is the next note closest to E that is to the right. So F is going to be a half step higher than E. A half step lower than E is the next note closest to E that is to the left. So E flat is a half step lower than E. Just like in math, 2 halves equal 1 whole. 2 half steps equal 1 whole step. So if we want the note that is a whole step higher than E, E to F is a half step, F to F sharp is another half step, 1 half plus 1 half equals 1 whole. So from E to F sharp is 1 whole step. If we wanted to figure out the note that is a whole step lower than E to E flat is 1 half step, E flat to D is another half step. So D is a whole note lower than E. Let's try some examples. Try to say the answer out loud before it appears on your screen. Is this an example of a half step or a whole step? C to D. C to C sharp is a half step. C sharp to D is another half step. Half plus half, so that's a whole step. E to F. There's no key in between, so E to F is a half step. B to C. There's no key in between, so B to C is a half step. G to A. G to G sharp is a half step. G sharp to A is another half step, so that would be a whole step. F sharp to G sharp. F sharp to G is a half step. G to G sharp is a half step. F sharp to G sharp is a whole step. Let's try a few more examples. Remember to say the answer out loud before it appears. What note is a half step higher than A? Find A on the piano. The note closest to it, to the right, since we're going higher, would be A sharp. What note is a half step lower than C? Find C. The note closest to it, to the left, since we're going lower, is B. What note is a whole step higher than F? Here's F. F to F sharp is a half step. F sharp to G is another half step. 2 half steps equals a whole step. So G is a whole step higher than F. What note is a whole step lower than B flat? Find B flat. B flat to A is a half step. A to A flat is another half step. So A flat is a whole step lower than B flat. To review, a half step is the distance between any note and the note closest to it on the piano keyboard. A whole step is 2 half steps.